Tonight, two fires continue to burn out of control near the Grand Canyon. And now, the scale of all that's been lost is coming into focus.
The Dragon Bravo fire has burned over 5,000 acres and destroyed more than 70 structures, including the historic Grand Canyon Lodge. Meantime, the White Sage fire has burned nearly 50,000 acres.
Both of these fires remain uncontained tonight. They're burning about 35 miles apart near the north rim of the Grand Canyon, which officials say will now be closed for the rest of the season. Thanks for joining us tonight for 12 News at 10. I'm Mark Curtis.
And I'm Kadiba Devine. 12 News journalist Joe Dana has more on the impact of the fire, including hearing from one woman who had to evacuate from the Colorado River.
The leaders of two towns that rely on tourism here at the south rim of the Grand Canyon, including Williams, want everyone to know that the south rim remains open. Hikers can still hike partway down into the canyon. As for the north rim, that is a story of closures and destruction.
It seems like every year I'm out there beating my hammer saying driest ever, hottest ever.
Stefan Lasky of an elite-level incident fire management team that took over the Dragon Bravo fire Monday says the fire burning 11 miles from here is a sign of the times.
We know for a fact that this year, the Southwest, Arizona, New Mexico, it's record-breaking dryness.
Meanwhile, life goes on at the South Rim, where tourists endured a smoky visit Monday.
I was bummed about the quality of the pictures that we're going to get. I'm wondering if I can filter that out. It affects your entire sense of nervous system, your well-being, I'm constantly worried about air quality.
Kelly's son is with a group of young scholars visiting northern Arizona.
They canceled the rafting, which was a huge bummer for my 10-year-old son, and hard to come here after living in LA is where we're from and going through those fires.
One hiker is grateful today. She reached the bottom before evacuation set in over the weekend and is now back at her Prescott home. She tells 12 News she was at the Colorado River's Phantom Ranch campground for just 3 hours before the Park Service told her she needed to evacuate by helicopter.
It was pretty nerve-wracking. There was a couple younger kids crying.
Meanwhile, along with the smoke, questions linger in the air over the canyon. Arizona's governor and some Democratic Congress members want an independent investigation to determine why the Park Service may have taken a defensive approach early on. The fire was detected July 4th and slowly grew for 5 days while the Park Service kept a confine and contain strategy. Lasky did not comment on strategy, but says the fire blew up on the 11th and 12th.
Normally, we can expect the fire to lay down at night. Temperatures go down, humidity goes up. Usually the winds are quiet. Well, we had strong winds both those nights, and now we have a total of 70 structures lost.
Now, in addition to the historic lodge, the gas station, the apartments and cabins that were destroyed over at the North Rim, there is still a question about a 40,000 square foot emergency services facility there. It is a huge asset for the federal government and for that region. We've asked the Park Service and the U.S. Forest Service, still no word from them, no confirmation on whether that emergency services building was destroyed or protected. At the South Rim, Joe Dana, 12 News.
Joe, thanks. Now, let's give you a look from inside the national park. This was taken just 4 minutes ago. A live webcam that sends out still images shows how intensely the Dragon Bravo fire continues to burn. We'll have continuing coverage on 12news.com and, of course, tomorrow morning on Today in AZ.
All right, let's get over now to meteorologist Lindsay Riley with a look at our weather impact forecast.
Lindsay, we've got storms on the way this week, but it's a double-edged sword because along with the storms, you also get lightning, right?
Yes, you do. But looks like we'll have high enough coverage up in the high country, especially around the Grand Canyon, where we will get some beneficial rain. And it looks like chances will begin to rise by Wednesday and Thursday, the peak being Thursday for the high country. We did have a few showers around the Grand Canyon today. Radar tonight pretty quiet. Everything that's left over is just settling down for the night. We're going to wake up to a dry start out the door tomorrow. Up at the Grand Canyon, though, tomorrow just a 10% chance, but by Wednesday and Thursday, we are in the 50 to 60% chance for rain, and then it does go back down heading into the weekend. Now, most of the state is going to pick up some rain rainfall, including the lower deserts, when our chances peak both Wednesday and Thursday. Heaviest rain will be across far southeastern Arizona, as well as the high country, San Francisco Peaks, rim country. But on the fire lines tonight, temperatures will drop into the 50s by about 2 o'clock in the morning. And tomorrow, high temps right around 90 to 91. We will have 20 to 30 mile-per-hour gusts out of the northwest tomorrow. That will blow some of the smoke into northeastern Arizona, closer to the Navajo Nation. But that is what the latest out on the fire lines. Caribe.
All right, Lindsay, thank you. It has been 8 months since a plane crash in Mesa ended the lives of 5 people, including a 12-year-old boy. Now the city is facing potential lawsuits from each of those families.
12 News journalist Chase Golightly spoke with one of the attorneys. He's live at Falcon Field tonight. And Chase, the attorneys maintain this all could have been prevented, right?
Mark Creeby, that is right. And you may remember only one person on that plane survived this deadly crash. Now, that aircraft was trying to take off from the runway here at Falcon Field, but instead it plowed through this fence and then crashed into a car heading north on Greenfield. Now, all those families are demanding nearly $350 million from the city.
A really vibrant personality, a very caring individual.
67-year-old Raymond Longy was on his way to Sky Harbor Airport to pick up his wife when a plane trying to take off from Falcon Field crashed right into his car and killed him.
And he worked in various aviation industries, so his manner of death is particularly disturbing.
The 4 people on board the Honda Jet airplane, including a 12-year-old boy and his father, also killed. Now the families of all 5 who died have filed notices of claim against the city of Mesa, totaling $343 million. For the Longy family, their attorney, Taylor Camelot, says their notice of claim against the city is for $60 million.
This could have been avoided in multiple ways.
The document claims the city failed to implement basic and necessary safety measures, including protective barriers at the end of the runway to prevent planes from crashing through. It also claims that Greenfield Road, which is right next to the end of the runway and where Longy was driving when the crash happened, is a safety concern.
There has been multiple meetings, essentially, with the FAA, finding Greenfield Road and its location not compatible with the land use. Kind of like an obstacle. It's an obstruction to the runway.
Saying the city needs to reroute Greenfield to get it out of the runway protection zone and to prevent this from happening again. The attorneys representing the other victims also make the same claims.
If it happened once, it can happen again.
The cause of this crash is still under investigation. However, the preliminary report from the National Transportation Safety Board claims there was nothing wrong with the aircraft. It also noted the pilot tried to stop the plane while it was going about 150 miles per hour down the runway. While it's still too early to determine if this was caused by human error, Camelot says the Longy family is waiting to find out and may consider additional legal action.
I can't really comment on it too substantively, but it's absolutely something we're looking into.
Now, I did reach out to the city of Mesa for comment on this potential litigation. While they did provide me those notices of claims, they said they cannot comment because of that pending litigation. We're live in Mesa. Chase Golightly, 12 News.
All right, Chase, thank you. At least 10 dogs have been rescued from a home in Litchfield Park. The Maricopa County Sheriff's Office released this video. They say that a constable was serving an eviction on a house when he noticed the dogs in cages. We're told that the cages hadn't been cleaned and had no water. There was no food. Deputies believe that the dogs had been abandoned. They are now actively searching for whoever left them behind.
The trial for the suspects in Preston Lord's murder has been moved to next year. Originally, the trial was supposed to begin later this month. Lord was beaten to death outside a Halloween party in Queen Creek in October of 2023. One of the 7 suspects agreed to a plea deal earlier this year and was sentenced to 12 years. The remaining 6 are headed for trial. Their attorneys argued that they need more time to go through evidence. The judge approved their request despite objections from the Lord's family. The trial will now begin January 12th.
New at 10, a family is searching for answers after their loved one drowned at Lake Pleasant.
12 News journalist Gabriela Becerra spoke with the family. She's here with details on why they're questioning the death. Gabby.
Well, Mark Kriebe, Arthur Kolozinski was no stranger to the outdoors, and he had spent several weekends this summer on Lake Pleasant already. But they want to know what it was about this last trip that caused it to turn to tragedy.
For 74 years old, he lived like he was 21 his entire life.
Art Kolozinski was the life of every party.
He lived a life. He had more than 9 lives, for sure. He lived thoroughly every one of them.
Even now, as his children and nieces sit around the couch sharing stories and memories.
He was loud, he was boisterous, he was a ton of fun.
They can't help but smile and laugh about their adventurous father and uncle.
It was always fun. He made things fun for all of us.
Over the July 4th holiday weekend, his family received shocking news. Kolozinski went missing while swimming at Lake Pleasant.
He was not known to panic under
Ever.
any circumstance.
He taught all of us how to swim. Every last one of us learned how to swim from him. So the idea that he would panic in the water is so illogical.
The Maricopa County Sheriff's Office says witnesses reported he was struggling to swim back to the boat near South Barker Island. He was yelling for help before he went underwater. Rescuers searched for several days. His body was recovered last Thursday.
Is that something we want answers to? As, you know, was there water in his lungs? Was there substances in his system?
The medical examiner ruled his death an accidental drowning, but as a healthy man and a strong swimmer, Kolozinski's family is questioning what caused him to struggle in the water.
Out of all those boaters, somebody had to see something. There is no way that somebody was in that water on a holiday weekend and they were the only boat for miles.
So as they celebrate his life,
He was always up to something. There was never a dull moment.
they're also seeking clarity about his last moments alive.
We need that closure as a family.
And I reached out to the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office this evening to see if they had any updates on this investigation, but they had none to share. In studio, Gabriella Becerra, 12 News.
All right, hopefully that family can get some answers. All right, Gabby, thank you. One of Arizona's largest employers plans to lay off even more workers. Last week, Intel told state regulators it planned to lay off 100 workers. Well, today, it said that number is closer to 700. Those layoffs will come from the company's Chandler campus. Experts say that Intel is struggling to keep up with competitors, including TSMC.